Want to all just put our feet on the ground and take a breath?
Yes.
Let's do it. Hey, Jamie, will you guide us through the central channel breath? I love how you do that.
Yes. Okay. All right. Feet on the floor, hands on the tops of your legs. We're just going to use our intention to bring our breath in from above the head, in through the crown, down into the center of the body, and then exhaling out below the feet into the earth beneath us. And then on the inhale, we'll bring it back in from below the earth into the center of the body. Exhaling out through the crown, filling our energy field. And then we'll go one more time, inhaling from above the head, drawing in source energy into the center of the body. Exhaling out below the feet. Bringing the breath back in from below the feet to the center of the body. And then exhaling out through the crown chakra. Very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
I feel much better. Oops, shoot. Hi. That was stupid. Hi, I'm Rose.
And I'm Jamie, and this is Spiritual Storytime with Rose and Jamie, where we share readings from books that have opened our hearts and awakened our perspective on spiritual beliefs and practices from different cultures around the world. Today, we're welcoming Sandy to share a reading from one of her favorite books.
Hi.
And what book do you have to share with us today, Sandy? It's so great to have you here. I'm so eager to find out what it is.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here. The book that I have is Rise, Sister Rise by Rebecca Campbell.
That's cool. I've never heard of that book.
It's made of a lot of little tiny chapters, little stories that she wrote, and well, you'll see when I get into it. And I did a book club actually for this book, but I kind of spread it out too far, and we didn't finish. But I finished the book on my own, and it was a lot of fun when we were getting together reading it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So are you going to read a couple of, you going to read like a little chapter and then we'll chat about it, or how do you want to do that?
Yes. Okay. So the first one is, the Holy Grail is within you. In many ancient traditions, woman is seen as the provider of Shakti, of the spiritual life force that connects all of life. In short, unconditional love. That's what the pure, balanced feminine is made of. That is the potent power of she. Shakti is the divine feminine creative power, an unstoppable force that is available to flow through every woman. The hangover of patriarchy has left us feeling that there is something wrong with our bodies, but nothing can be further from the truth. There is a sacred vibrational field within a woman's womb that we have forgotten. The ancients knew it. Hello, priestess of Isis. And it is time that we reclaim it. Your body is holy. Your sexuality is holy. You are holy. May we unshackle ourselves from seeing ourselves as anything but this. Every woman is a goddess, for she has the capacity to embody the divine feminine Shakti in full radiant force. The flower uses Shakti to attract the bee. The women have been shamed for being like that flower. Shakti is power, and in a patriarchal society where one controls many, a woman in her power doesn't mix well. And so for many, this energetic connection has been severed. Now is the time for us to heal it. When my husband and I first connected, I was fully in my feminine. Having experienced my second Kundalini Shakti awakening, she writes about that on page 17, I found myself for the first time in my life in love. Not with anyone, but with life itself. I was in a space of pure, unconditional love. My inner chalice was full. I was a woman one in herself. I didn't long for anything outside, for I was connected to the source of all. Having been through his own transformation, Craig, her husband, was in his masculine and in deep respect of the sacred feminine. Without warning, as we came together in sacred union, the sacred Shakti intertwined between us in an ecstasy that was far more than sex. Blown away by the experience, the very next day, Craig decided to name his contracting company Kundalini Ltd. May we release the internal dialogue that tells us our bodies are anything but holy. May we reject any external force that suggests we should be anything other than the shape and size we are. May we lovingly nurse ourselves back to adoring every ounce of our flesh. Every woman is radiant. May we fiercely reject anything that suggests otherwise. Rise, Sister, Rise mantra. I allow Shakti to flow freely through me. I open to unleashing the potency of my sexuality and embrace it as a holy act. May my inner chalice always be full. The Rise, Sister, Rise question. What have you been programmed to believe about your body and sexuality? That's the end of this chapter, this little section.
I love that. I love that so much that it's brought in the ancient yoga teachings into the whole thing. It's really cool. We were just studying
awesome.
in my advanced yoga nidra training. We were just talking about Vishnu laying on the bed of snakes, being the ocean, and that Shakti is that driving force that awakens him. So
awesome. Great. Yeah. Should I go on to read another one?
I think we should talk about this one. I'm
okay.
Because because I feel like there's something really good I want to say and it didn't come to me yet, but I think we should stay here for a minute because there's a lot there. You know, you can go down the path of the patriarchy and down with the patriarchy, but the reality is everything is, it's always working towards balance, and we're very out of balance with the masculine right now in our world. But you can see we're coming back to equilibrium, and we're going towards the feminine. And I was listening to a book this morning that was talking about the feminine and the power of the feminine, and the planet that we live on is feminine. So as we rebalance stuff and we get back into the true nature of our planet, that we're embracing the feminine.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it has been out of balance. The energy of our society has been out of balance for hundreds of years, and for us to be able to be coming back, which is all of these ancient teachings that are coming back to us that we're just, yoga didn't come to the Americas until the early 1900s. And and it's like thousands of years old. I think it's like 3,500 years old that they had actually put into words the teachings, because yoga used to be taught, just the teachings were taught by word of mouth, by vocal, carrying it down from generation to generation, which is what it's like for a lot of different cultures. But then 3,500 years ago, Patanjali put it into words, and that's what the 8 limbs of yoga are. That's what the Yoga Sutras are. And it speaks exactly to what you're sharing, Sandy, about the that masculine energy and feminine energy, getting our consciousness to rise up like the snake to source. So it's beautiful. This is amazing. First reading out of this book. I need to get this book now.
Thank you.
I feel like that this book is bringing it to people who aren't necessarily people who study yoga. Yeah. It's bringing that concept in from a different doorway. And I love that, because a lot of people are like, think yoga. Oh, I'm not flexible enough for yoga, or, I'm not this or that enough for yoga. But yoga's not just an exercise. It started with these ancient teachings like you're sharing with us right now. So you're bringing it to us without the word yoga is awesome. I just got to say.
So cool. Great.
What do you think, Jamie?
I love it. And I love any time that yoga can get woven into people's reality when they think they're not yogis, because we all are.
And Sandy, what's your thought on it?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to learn and study about, and to move away from that patriarchal society that we have been living in for so long. I think it's important to bring back the feminine energy, the healthy feminine. Then in the next one that I'm going to read, I'll talk about what an unbalanced and balanced masculine and feminine look like. But I think it's important to bring that balance back into the world.
I love it.
Yeah.
I agree.
Thanks.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear more.
Okay. Should I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. The next one is balancing the masculine and feminine in you. I believe in the power of men who respect the earth and her woman, Lune Lazuli. We each have within us both masculine and feminine energies. While your sex indicates what energies you chose to focus on in this lifetime, we still embody both. As we are coming out of 5,000 years of patriarchy, where the unbalanced masculine has been the focus, it is important to note that the unbalanced feminine can be just as destructive. Just as the sacred feminine's anger has been silenced through patriarchy, and sacred masculine's ability to express emotions and recognize his divinity has too. As we recover from patriarchy, it is important not to aspire to its polar opposite, patriarchy to matriarchy. Rather, let's bring the sacred masculine and sacred feminine energies back into balance. As the sacred feminine rises, may the sacred masculine rise along with her. Below is a list of some of the characteristics of the sacred masculine and feminine energies when balanced and unbalanced. Read through and see which you relate to. Remember, we are capable of them all. The sacred feminine, compassionate, wise, in touch with her ability to heal, connected with nature and her seasons, sees herself as whole, loves unconditionally, fiercely protective of the planet and her children, sexual, wise, knows her power, intuitive, passionate, empathic, understanding, healer, fertile, creative, abundant, in flow with the rest of life, provider of Shakti, assertive, truth seeker, fills up her well, able to be supported, revered and adored by the masculine, able to express anger and passion. The unbalanced feminine, depressed, needy, codependent, overly sensitive, wallowing and self-pitying, bitter, self-doubting, victim, people pleaser, the good girl, low self-esteem, dependent, unable to stand on 2 feet, gossip, resentful, doesn't want to be happy, martyr, selfish, can't stand other people's happiness, manipulative, scheming, controlling, spiteful, unable to express her needs, insecure, puts everyone else's needs ahead of her own, in thought compares herself to others. The sacred masculine, strong, protective, worships the feminine, supportive, present, active, proactive, abundant, powerful, provider, confident, physical, energized, passionate, heroic, courageous, able to be supported by the feminine, able to surrender to and be held by the feminine, able to love unconditionally, in touch with feelings but doesn't let them control him, empowered, not threatened. The unbalanced masculine destroys everything in his or her path, ruthless, does not think of anyone but himself. The end justifies the means. Forceful, brutal, barbaric, selfish, egoistic, sees himself or herself as separate, arrogant, disconnected, from the head up, weak, cruel, disconnected from emotions, easily threatened, cowardly, deceitful, stubborn, endures and strives when it is time to rest, and headstrong. That's it for that section. I think it's thank you. Yeah, I think it's important to hear the sacred feminine when imbalanced and when unbalanced. I know I've been in both sections.
Yeah, and I like that she pointed out we all have both in us. We all have masculine tendencies and feminine tendencies. So we all have some of all the good and all the bad from each of those lists. You can find yourself in all four spots.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like that. As you were reading that, I doodled a little bit on a piece of paper of a pendulum, and there's like masculine on one side, feminine on the other side, and society has been over here on the masculine, like you were saying, thousands of years, you know. So
Yeah.
I mean, it, it's we can't look at it like, oh, we're just going to go to balanced. We're probably going to swing to the feminine and sit at the feminine for a little bit until women are feeling, getting back to that state where, and then it'll do this number, this number, this number, this number. And then maybe in a couple hundred years or so, we'll be balanced again.
Oh, nice.
Because that's just the way things go. It's got to settle. It's got to settle. And because we've been at that masculine for so long, I feel it's going to take a little while. Who am I joking?
Yeah.
A couple hundred years. It's taken thousands just to get us.
We're moving faster. We're evolving faster than we ever have before. So I think a couple hundred years sounds like plenty of time.
Okay,
That sounds
true.
good.
That's true. Yeah, I love that. I think it's fantastic. Maybe we could find all of the broken pieces of all those goddess statues and Greece and stuff and put them all back together again.
Yeah.
Or make new ones. Wonder what the art on those are going to be like. Yeah, that's an awesome read. I really enjoy it.
Thank you.
I feel like everybody does have a little bit, and to deny that, like, everybody has a little bit of both the balance and imbalance on the masculine and the balance and imbalance on the feminine, and to deny the parts of us that are the shadows, the parts that are not healed, the parts that are weak and imbalanced. And when I say weak, it's like that masculine energies, when it's balanced, is strong and courageous And it was the same for the woman, for the female. It was still the same. It's that super empowered state of being. But at some point, I feel like in everybody's life, there's the moments when we're not doing that empowered. We're not doing that great. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's where we learn our biggest lessons, I feel. And to recognize that instead of disowning that part of ourselves, is embracing that part of ourselves and learning the lessons can help us to become more balanced and stronger and more in flow with the source of Shakti energy and with Shakti and source, coming in. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, well, and that starts with unconditional love, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what we're doing is rejecting the parts of ourselves that don't seem pleasing or, that are less positive. We're just rejecting that, which is the medicine for that is unconditional love. And then just looking at it, embracing it? What is this here for? What are you trying to show me? What am I supposed to be learning right now? Instead of rejecting it and looking away because it's not pretty, look at it.
Yeah, definitely look at it and see what parts of it that you can grow from. I think, the answer is in love. Bob Marley said it right. One love, you just gotta embrace that one love, and however love looks like for you, it could be self-love. It could be, love for animals and you get that love, unconditional love from them in return. It could be, a loving relationship. It could, a love for, caring for the earth, and getting the love back from Gaia. It could be whatever love looks like for you, because once you are in that flow of love, and that's when the feminine and masculine are connected,
Balance.
Shakti's rising, opening the third eye and the crown.
Yeah.
So cool. Do you got another one for us?
I do. Honoring your inner rhythm. When you are here on a mission and you hear the call from spirit to change things, it is easy to fall into endurance mode. I have done it times and time again. But being of service ahead of my own body's needs, this must stop. If we are to do the work of change, we must be sustainable. If we are pushing or striving, we are out of flow with the natural rhythm of the planet. If we are out of flow with the earth, we not only make it harder for ourselves, but also put stress on the planet. We must stop pushing and pressuring ourselves. We are here to do a life's work, not a season. Do not burn out now. You are needed for a long haul. It is time that we deeply honor these cycles and stop expecting things and ourselves to be always on or in summer mode. If you push yourself to be always producing, your creative well will soon run dry. You cannot possibly create the potency of the work that you are here to create if you are trying to bloom. Do not let what others are doing pressure you into doing more. You only have to keep up with the world around you if you are choosing to compete in the first place. There is a perfect time for everything. If the tulip surfaces in the heart of winter, the bitter winds won't give her a chance. She will lose her supple petals and be bitten by unforgiving frost. If she attempts to endure on through the end of summer, she will become parched and dry up. If the cherry blossom got impatient and pushed herself to bloom because the daffodils were out, we would miss the magical moment where all of a sudden her soft, subtle scents fill the balmy twilight air. Trust the natural flow of your inner season and don't push yourself to bloom all year round. There are times for sowing, times for blossoming, and times for retreating and going into hibernation. There is plenty of room for all of us to rise in our own perfect time. What is another person's summer may be your winter, but come spring, positions will be reversed. Trust your inner season and remember, spring returns to delight us each and every year. Rise, Sister Rise mantra. I honor my inner seasons and deeply trust my inner rhythm. There is no rush. In perfect time, I rise. Rise, Sister Rise question. Are you respecting the seasons of your life, or are you attempting to bloom all year round?
I love that chapter. That message needs to be repeated and said louder and repeated and said louder for all of us. You know, you think about that. A flower, we don't expect a flower to bloom in the winter. And we also know what happens to a flower that's blooming in the winter. So why do we do that to ourselves?
Yeah. And I think it's important to note that when she points out that one person's summer may be your winter, like we have to stop comparing ourselves to other people, because that's going to kill our joy, and it's not doing any good to either of us. Yeah.
And their path is not your path. So why do you expect, you know, I thought of, I whenever you were reading that and one flower blooms and then later it's time for the other flower to bloom, I thought about a fireworks show. The best fireworks show is timed out, right? And there's a buildup, and so are our seasons. Things bloom and blossom and go through their individual thing with the bigger picture in mind to create a beautiful show and to create the rhythm. So just like fireworks, if all the fireworks go off all at once and then you have a bunch of empty space, or if the whole thing is filled with all the fireworks going off, you don't really see anything. It's like, it's too much, right? So we all have a time, and it's different for everyone. So like you said, don't compare, because yours is different, and it's all perfectly timed, and we don't have to know all of the whys and the hows. We just have to stay on our path and stop comparing ourselves to everybody else.
Right. Exactly.
I love that reading. I was just thinking about where I'm at right now, and how it was applying to my current situation. And I feel like there's a delicate balance, because there isn't a time. It's like, okay, we all have to like work. So that means, and especially for someone who's a solopreneur, you're working so that you can bloom. But then there's times to rest. But then there's the time that you're resting and you might be falling behind on your time to bloom. So then it brings in stress. I kind of, this is like absolutely applying to my life right now, where I'm like, I really want to just go sit by the water and, in nature and, soak it all in and be that time of resting, which is what you're saying is the winter time when the flowers aren't blooming. But at the same time, it's like, I need to do stuff to prepare for the blooming. I need to, what do you call it? Not seed the ground, fertilize it. I need to fertilize the soil so that I can get a good bloom. You know what I'm saying? It's like that balance. I feel like I'm in the fertilization stage because I just was resting in winter, getting ready to, bloom in spring. So I think that anyone could apply this reading to any stage of their life. If you just go sit by the water and think about it, I think I'm going to do that.
Sounds like you need to.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sounds like you want to.
Yeah. I'm not going to should myself, but I should go sit by the water.
Change the should to I will.
Yes, I will. I would. I would and I will watch. I can and I will watch me. Yeah. No, that's good. I'm glad this reading came up because I take that as a little reminder that as I'm, feeling kind of stressed today, having to do a bunch of things around the house, having to do a bunch of things for the business, having to do, there's so much going on. I feel like going and sitting by the water at the riparian preserve is what I need. And
honor that.
Yeah. If you feel you need it, do it.
Yeah.
So, thank you for having that reading. I feel like that reading
You're
was
welcome.
for me.
It was. I picked it out just for you, Rose.
Thank you.
You're
Sandy.
welcome.
You got my spirit. You got my back.
I do.
You got my spirit. You got my spirit back. My soul's back.
Yep.
That whole book now. That was really, really great share.
Yeah.
How many of those little chapters are there?
Well, it's broken up into 5 parts. And each part has maybe between 18 and 20 little chapters in it. Yeah, around there. So there's a lot.
Okay.
It's
So 5.
It's 298 pages, but it's
Let's see how
really
thick it
easy
is.
read.
Okay, 298. So that's almost a year's worth if you were to read one a day.
Right. It's not that bad. It's not bad at all. And it's like I said, it's a really easy read. So, and like some of them, see this one only has a very short, it's a very short paragraph. So
And then some of them are a couple pages long.
Right.
Okay.
So what are the 5 categories that it's broken into?
Let's see. Part 1 is my story. Part 2 is birthing a new age. Part 3 is remembering our cyclical nature. Part 4 is unbinding the wise, wild woman. Part 5 is redefining sisterhood. I'm sorry, there's a 6th, there's actually 6 parts. Doing the work is part 6.
Always got to do the work.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to go do today.
Good. And sit by the water.
Yes, that's part of the work. It's not being lazy. It's part of the work. Yeah, a lot of people think that if they're not doing, then they must be being lazy, and that's not the case. It's just part of doing the work.
Yeah. That stuff happens when you're not actively doing, right? Like that's where it's in the quiet spaces. It's in meditation, or just when you wake up in the morning and the answer to the problem that you used your mind so much to try to solve the day before, and then you wake up and the answer's there. It's because of the downtime. It's not because of the doing. It's because of the not doing. Just allowed it to surface.
I love that.
Yeah.
We're so blessed. We're so blessed to have such cool people, such cool friends.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here, Sandy.
Oh, thank you for having me. I really appreciate this.
Oh, I appreciate you. Does anybody have anything else to share? We can continue. We've got a couple more minutes, unless Sandy, you have to go.
I still have like 14 minutes. Do you want me to read another section?
Sure.
Or is that enough? Okay.
Yeah.
How about this one? You have been called.
Yes.
We are the ones we have been waiting for. Hopi wisdom. The world needs more dreamers, artists, peacekeepers, and awakeners. More change makers, creators, poets, and rememberers. More visionaries, healers, shamans, and believers. The world is ready for more empowered, self-assured, potent women and men who support her rising. More women who trust their intuition without waver. More women who believe in their own medicine and share it freely. More women who own their power, know their worth, and do not dim according to who walks by. More women who aren't afraid to show the world who they really truly are, no matter how magnificent or inconvenient. More women who aren't intimidated by someone else's success. More women who recognize that we are all on the same team. More women who understand the true meaning of sisterhood. Wise women, wild women, boisterous women, fierce women, idealistic women, priestess women, medicine women, healing women, stubborn women, expressive women, too much women, unapologetic women, compassionate women, courageous women, encouraging women, opinionated women, confident women, self-assured women, radiant women. The world is crying out for more mothers of the earth, of the unfortunate, of the unprotected, but mostly of themselves. More mothers regardless of birth and babies. More nature walkers, more ocean swimmers, more bridges of the world, more spinners of time and space, more weavers of the whispers of the ancients and the concerns of our antecedents, more ceremonies, more ritual, more truth, more meaning, more women knowing in their bones and in their hearts and in their souls that it is possible to heal this wonderful planet by first healing ourselves. More women remembering that they chose to be here at this time. More women finding the courage to rise. Rise, sister, rise. How are you being called to rise? I have goosebumps right now. And a little
Okay,
tear in my eye. I don't know why.
Perfect. Because we all need to hear that and we need to remember it and we need to embody it because it's true, and we're used to the
Yeah.
opposite and we're comfortable in the uncomfortableness of the opposite of that. And it's not serving anybody.
So true.
that reading right there. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you read that, because so many women need to hear that. So many. And of course you have a tear in your eye. That's the love. That's your heart crying out, saying, yes, yes. I feel like this is such a big message for so many women, that it's okay to be you. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to show yourself and and show your beauty and your shine. Beautiful isn't what's in the magazines. It's not what's on TV. It's what's in your heart, and it comes and shines out. And that's the authenticity. That's the love. That's the space. That's where we're going. That right there is the balanced divine feminine energy that you were talking about 2 chapters over.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And even if you are sitting in that unbalanced feminine or masculine energy, bring love to it and that'll help heal it. And you have the power to change it if that's not where you want to be and you want to be in the sacred balanced feminine and masculine energies. You have the power to put yourself there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. If you are in that imbalanced state, look at what we're saying. Look at the side that isn't as maybe palatable, the things that we don't want to show, the shadows, because that's where the lessons are, and that's how you can get to what this chapter is describing about the balanced feminine. And wow, now I've got a tear in my eye.
Aw.
What do you got, Jamie?
When you were reading off the list of things, the too much. That was always the story for me was you're too much, you're too much, you're too much. And then, my ultimately my breakdown was don't be too much, right? Like I used to be like, I'm too much, whatever. And then eventually you get worn down, life kicks your ass enough, and you're like, just don't be too much, right? And then it's like you compromise your authenticity, you dim your lights, you wonder, how did I get here? This isn't where I wanted to go. But then the road back is authenticity, and you're not too much. If you're too much for somebody, then that person needs to go find somebody that's less, right?
Exactly. You're not too much for the right person or right people.
Right, people. Yeah, because, that's like for me, that wasn't a story in my relationship. It was a story in the world where a lot of times that you see that in a relationship where the man is saying you're too much, you need to be less. But for me, it wasn't. It was a broader thing. But it's not the truth. And that is how we go down the path of losing our authenticity. And and that doesn't serve anybody. So, but we're all learning, right? I had to learn that, and I wouldn't change that path because it's put me right where I want to be. And it's enabled me to understand and to be able to identify when someone else is on that path and help them redirect and understand what's happening and how to get where they want to go. So, totally worth it.
Hmm. Wow. I can't believe that it took this long to get you on here.
Glad you're
For
here because I didn't get enough
all
of
of
you
our
in New
schedules.
York.
For
I
all of
know.
our schedules, yeah.
I know. We were supposed to do an exchange of energy too. We
Yeah,
didn't get a chance to do that.
we can still do that. We can just do it remote. Let's make
Yeah,
that happen.
sounds good.
Hmm.
Yeah. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate this. Such a
I
great.
really love that you came. Yeah, we appreciate you for taking your lunch hour to come join us for spiritual story time.
My pleasure. This was the best lunch ever.
Thank you for sharing your lunchtime with us.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
So if you like Sandy's reading today and you would like to see more of what we provide here on Spiritual Storytime, please like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, make sure that you can continue to get our notifications that we're coming out with a new reading in Spiritual Storytime. And we're wishing you have a wonderful day, and namaste, Jai Bhagwan, Shakti Rising. Thanks for being here.
All the things that Rose said.
Oh, thank you, everyone. And ditto on what Rose and Jamie said.